Welcome to the course on the psychology of attraction. In general, we're going to be talking about ways in which you yourself might become more likable through the research on attraction in social psychology. So what I'm going to do in this course is talk about different ways in which social psychologists and psychologists in general have studied the phenomenon of interpersonal attraction, which is really just about how much do you like another person and how much do people like you. We use attraction sometimes in ways that imply romantic attraction, but rest assured this can be applied to romantic attraction, but also any form of liking between people. And so who is this course for? Given that definition of attraction, who might want to understand these principles? Well, if you're interested in just making more friends, for example, that would be a way in which you'd want to understand the power of attraction and the psychology therein. You might also be interested in promoting group harmony. You might have a task in front of you that has to do with managing a whole bunch of people, and how can you get people to like one another to make interactions go more smoothly? You can employ the very same principles that you might use to make yourself more attractive. You might also be interested in finding that special someone, so these influences and attraction techniques can have plenty to do with romantic attraction, and indeed some of the research that we'll talk about is founded upon this form of attraction. Many studies have been done in speed dating contexts or online dating contexts to see what are the factors that most promote attraction and liking. But of course, all of these things are general liking procedures as well, and so even if this isn't your goal, you could still apply that research. Another is that you might be interested in closing more deals. You might have a sales task in front of you. You might want to get people to say yes. And in fact, what we know is that people comply with requests more when they like you. And so this may also be really beneficial, even if you think, oh, I have a social circle and a partner that I enjoy and that's fine with me, but I want to become more likable for these other goals. This course can be for you as well. And you might also just be interested in psychology. So that's actually where my perspective comes from. I am a social psychologist. You'll hear more about me a little bit later. But this might just be a course that's of interest to you if you're interested in these kinds of factors, even if you don't care to put them into practice necessarily. The research in interpersonal attraction is a really fascinating body of literature. These concerns are not new, of course. People have been interested in interpersonal attraction for a long time. This book by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, has been a bestseller for many years. People often recommend this across wide varieties of contexts, from business contexts to other interpersonal contexts, and so you might be interested in these kinds of things. But of course, what we're going to talk about is real scientific research. And so while Mr. Carnegie has plenty of ideas and observations, what we're going to focus on is the science here. Another book that you might be familiar with is this book by Robert Cialdini on the power of persuasion and influence. And one of his tactics for gaining compliance and getting people to say yes to a request and persuade them is a liking principle. And in fact, this quotation comes from his book, People Prefer to Say Yes to Individuals They Know and Like. So if you can boost your own likability, you might be able to be more successful in these kinds of domains. So just know that moving forward. This quotation by Clarence Darrow also gets at why these principles might be important. Darrow said that the main work of a trial attorney is to make a jury like his client. Again, when you like someone, you'll be more likely to give them the benefit of the doubt or give them a lighter sentence, so on and so forth. So liking can be really powerful. And along those same lines, here's a quotation by another person. This was quoted in the book Blink by Malcolm Gladwell. This is Alice Birkin, a leading medical malpractice lawyer. And she said, people just don't sue doctors they like. I've been in this business. In all the years I've been in this business, I've never had a potential client walk in and say, I really like this doctor and I feel terrible about doing it, but I want to sue him. So again, when you like people or when people like you, they're more likely to give you the benefit of the doubt. You might be treated better as a likable person. So what are we going to do in this course? I already hinted at a few of these things, but the primary thing that we're going to do is cover the scientific research in social psychology that uncovers the real, reliably, statistically accurate means by which people can come to like you more, and the ways in which people come to like one another. So we'll spend a lot of time talking about individual studies over the history of this research literature to understand those factors even more deeply. In fact, all of these different studies are going to be grouped together into comprehensible topic areas. So when you look at the course, you'll see lots of different general principles. So one of the ones we'll talk about is familiarity. But even within familiarity, there's lots of different pieces of information. So you'll have an opportunity to view those individually. But I thought it would be helpful to group them into comprehensible topic areas. And finally, each section will conclude with ideas for application. So I'll give you all of the research. You can process that information as you like, but at the very end of each section, I'll give you some thoughts about application, how you might take the research and apply it to your own life to see results right away. And at the end, you'll see this guy here. I've named him Likeable Dave. No real reason for it. That's just what I thought might be a fun way to conclude each section. And so Likeable Dave will pop up at the end and provide his tips and tricks for becoming more likable, again, across a broad variety of domains.